All right. Welcome, everyone. 1 second here.
Awesome.
Welcome, everyone, to the Fall Activities Parent Meeting 2020-2021. As you can see, I've got some panelists and different people who are going to step in and chat tonight. We would love to see everyone in person, but like Mr. Einsweiler said during the academics meeting, I just felt like a situation where at this point we could avoid that large gathering. We would have loved to have you break out into your individual groups in person, but since we went this route for this large meeting, we thought it was more convenient for families to be able to get on their Google Meet meetings after this. So I've got a lot of good information to share here with you. I've got a lot of people that are going to come in and chat and talk about some of Nevada's finest activities. So I'm going to go ahead and start rolling here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dustin Smith, high school assistant principal and activities director. You've got my phone contact information there and my email if you need to reach out. Basically for anything, let me know. A couple other places I'd love to have you follow us on are the Cubs Activities Twitter page. Guys, I'm a few followers short of where I'd like to be. If you're not following Cubs Activities on Twitter, I'm going to give you about a 5-second break here to take out your phone, get on your Twitter, and get that follow going. I'll count it down. Twitter, Cubs Activities, give me a follow there. You're going to find all of your Cubs Activities information, updated scores, all conference players, etc. Please give us a follow there. Also new is the Nevada Cubs Activities, Nevada Cubs Activities Facebook page. Very similar to the Twitter page, but for those of you who are maybe more partial to Facebook. I love being able to share information on both of those avenues, and I love getting the likes on there because then I know that our Nevada kids are getting noticed. Tonight's agenda, we're going to walk through a few things here. Welcomed you in. We're going to talk communication with sports. Laurie Kruzich is going to talk for the music parents. I also have our premier athlete training crew here to talk about our strength and conditioning program. Chad Bauman has a strong message from the Booster Club. We're going to talk about conflict resolution, 21st century athletic training. I know everyone likes it when Tasha's around. We did actually trade Tasha in for Matt Meyers tonight. So we'll have Matt here. Not as friendly, but just as good of an athletic trainer and a good person. Eligibility and requirement forms. We're also going to talk about the fall play, maybe less about the spring musical as a lot can change between here and there. Going to cover just briefly some COVID-19 information. I'm going to let Jason Sampson talk about our new esports program. I'm going to talk about TeamCubs, and then we're going to get you off to your fall sports meetings. Move forward. Welcome and thanks for attending. I know if you're here tonight that you're invested in your son or daughter's activities and athletics, and without you being invested in that, it's really hard to have a successful program, program-wide and then individual programs. So I appreciate you being here tonight. One thing that's really important for me is that we really make sure that we're communicating well with our parent stakeholders. The first thing that you should do, if you have a student athlete that's participating in fall sports, I have sent out a fall sports communication email, and I'm going to resend it out here after this meeting. Make sure you're signed up for the Remind application so that coaches can send you brief reminders about things that are going on. If you're interested in picking up your son or daughter's schedule, if you go to nevadacubs.org, click the hover over the activities tab, and then click activities calendar. You can find every schedule there. I'm going to apologize a little bit right now. Typically, this is 100% up to date, about a year in advance, sometimes longer. I am fixing some things in our kind of our new normal, where I've got some updates to make, but fall schedules should be 100% up to date. After fall, you can look at your own risk. I'll have those updated before school starts so that everything is 100% by the time we're back on school on August 24th. I'm going to plug the Twitter one more time. Get your follows in. If you are not a follower, you can follow at Nevada CSD and at Cubs Activities. Facebook, Nevada Cubs Activities. And then one other thing that I want to make sure that that you're aware of and using and utilizing is the Varsity Bound application. If you haven't heard of Varsity Bound, you need to kind of think about an ESPN-like experience, but for Iowa high school sports. If you go into your app store and it says Google Play coming soon, it's already available. This is an old slide. They didn't get an updated one for me. Get on Varsity Bound and start following Nevada Cubs. This is going to give you a wealth of information. This will probably be how you get your rosters for the fall season. I would imagine that you're not going to get a lot of paper rosters as you attend events. So you're going to want this Varsity Bound app. It's going to have rosters and it's going to give you a lot of information, statistics, best players from the other team statistically, etc. It's going to give you schedules, scores, directions, rosters, game day alerts, and stats. This is really an exceptional app. We're really lucky that the creators of this app are actually from Iowa. I believe Sam Schill is kind of the leader of the pack, and he's a Ballard graduate. So when you're using the Varsity Bound app, keep in mind this is an Iowa local product that really is a great product. I'd love to get you on there and start following the Nevada Cubs. With that being said, I'm going to turn the mic over to Laurie Kruzich here to talk about the Nevada Parents Booster Club, Music Parents Booster Club.
Well, good evening, everyone. Laurie Kruzich, and I'm the parent of Austin Kruzich, who is a senior this year, and Allison Kruzich, who's a sophomore. And so just sharing a bit about Music Parents. Of course, it's a organization that supports music throughout the K-12 experience. So various things that the organization does. It provides band uniforms. There's a choir robe fund. There's various entry fees for contests and honor groups. Also, the organization pays for music costs for the high school musical, supporting special guest artists that might be coming in, special equipment for programs, some larger purchases that have happened over the years, the Steinway piano, risers for Tope Auditorium, and some other supplies. So most of the funds that are generated by the Music Parents group comes from the concession stands. So when you're at the games, support the concession stand, primarily football, track, and soccer. You can also be a member of the Music Parents group. Membership is $15. And if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to us at our Gmail account. It's Nevada Music Parents at gmail.com. So if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out. You can also, when you see the requests for assistance for the concession stands that might come through either the band or choir teachers, and you have time and you're interested, encourage you to help assist with concession stands. I'd be happy to answer any questions that might come up later. Dustin, you're still muted.
Laurie, that is a very helpful suggestion, and I appreciate that. I would have talked for quite a while. Mr. Einsweiler is manning the question and answer. So if you've got questions, go ahead and drop them in there. And between some of our guest speakers, I will ask Mr. Einsweiler if we've got any questions that need to be addressed. Panelists, if you could stick around for any possible questions, please do. We'll get those to you as soon as we can. With that being said, Mr. Einsweiler, any questions up until this point?
Not at the moment. I do want to let you know, Mr. Smith, there is not a way for me to share links within that Q&A portion. So just a heads up as we get closer to the end of the presentation.
That's a good point of reference. Thank you, Mr. Einsweiler. So yeah, the Music Parents Booster Club is really great, and like Laurie said, the finances that they get are often derived from the outdoor concession area, and without spring sports, that took away quite a bit of their revenues. So if you could consider being a Music Parent Booster member this year, that would be very helpful for that organization as we try to make it through a year that's going to see some limited finances. So Laurie, thanks for being here. Stick around if we get any questions for you.
There was a question I saw come in. The cost is $15 for membership. And you don't actually have to be a parent to be a Music Parent member.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was a music parent and did not have any students in the program. So anyone can help support that program. Thank you, Laurie. All right, going to talk strength training here for a minute. I'm a firm believer, and our coaching staff also believes that strength training is the key to any athletics program. If you don't have it, other people will have it, and they will continue to thrive. The best programs in the state often have the best strength training rooms in the state. At Nevada, we use Premier Athlete Training out of Ames, and it's been a phenomenal partnership. The coaches have been awesome to work with. Some of the core pillars of our strength training program are that it's a common program among all sports. Our coaches do a great job of, if they're in-season athletes, creating a program that works for them in season. Out-of-season athletes typically go through a very similar program that would give them common strength training results. So it's a culture of improvement year-round. We don't just want to see our athletes in the weight room during the season. We want to see them in the weight room in the off-season, and even when they're in, if they're a multi-sport athlete, their next season, and et cetera. Quite honestly, your gains in the weight room in the fall for football won't pay off as much in the fall as they may when you get to wrestling or basketball in the winter. So we really tried to create a culture of improvement year round. In season, we do require 2 lifting sessions per week, and out of season, we recommend 3 to 4 times per week. It's encouraged, but like I said, it's really your key to success. And if you talk to some athletes after they really dig into a strength training program, some of their biggest regrets will be that they didn't get into that strength training and take it seriously earlier. We also run speed and agility training in the summer. That's kind of going to wrap up here in the next week or so, but we do offer that in the summer, and most of our athletes have been taking advantage of that. With that being said, I'm going to toss it over to Mike. He's going to talk a little bit about the Premier Athlete Training Program. I unmuted you, Mike.
Okay, beautiful. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Mike. I'm one of the trainers over at Premier Athlete Training. I'm responsible for writing all of our strength training program, and I'm kind of the hands-on site coordinator for Nevada High School. So Nevada High School is the only high school I go to and act as your head strength conditioning coach year-round. So it's my pleasure to work with all the athletes in all of these sports. The way we operate is we primarily specialize in elite level strength conditioning for athletic performance. And I think that distinction is very important. We primarily want to develop athletes that perform well in the field and can stay healthy and be the best they can be with their body in their respective disciplines. So we take a multi-tiered approach to developing programming specific towards each sport. At the start of each year, we run a needs analysis based off of what do the sport needs, what's their schedule look like, what does their season look like, when do we want to peak them out properly, how do we set up a year-long progression model so the athlete who are in 3-4 sports are continuing to make progress, because that's a common theme we see in Iowa strength conditioning in general, that these athletes who are always in season, always competing, have multiple endeavors going, they get in this cycle of maintenance, and by the time they're senior, they haven't developed fully to their true potential because of that. So we try to, one, maximize their ability to perform on the field, but also find the appropriate levels of training, the appropriate exercises, the appropriate loading schemes and progression models so they can still make progress both in terms of strength, their resiliency, their ability to tolerate the sport from an injury risk reduction standpoint, and to make sure they can have the tools to be better at their sport, in that we build the capacity for them to be more adaptable to their sport. We really talk about building the bodies of the athletes, so once their sport-specific practice comes around, they're more readily and able to learn their sport, practice their skill, and they can tolerate more of their sport. A stronger athlete has the ability to practice more of their sport. Common misconception, you're not taking away from sport with a proper strength conditioning program. You're building your capacity to tolerate more of it. So I think that's a very important distinction. Then when it comes to off-season training, we push our athletes hard. We ask a lot, but we know that is the time to maximally develop the athlete, in that time they do not have to worry about sport-specific practice. They do not have to worry about, peaking out for a championship season or a championship week or something of that nature. The best analogy I can give you in that scenario is that is our time to build the school. In season is the time to learn in it. The process of maximally building a school or building a facility for learning would interfere with the process of learning as it is. So we take the time to dedicate more resources in the off-season scenario, maximize their performance, maximize their return on investment for their training. Then that sets up a foundation really nicely for them to come in for the start of the season, where they have a large foundation of general physical preparedness, resiliency from an injury risk reduction standpoint, and strength to coast through the season, drop their volumes, and peak them out very, very nicely for the championship aspect of their season. So we really take a holistic approach towards our strength conditioning. I could talk on specific points, and I would really like to. If you guys have any questions for me across the board, I do really well with directed questions, because obviously, the nuances of each program are specific to the sport, are specific to the athlete, are specific to the demands at hold. So if you guys do have any questions for me, I would really appreciate that. But else for that, I'm really excited to work again this year at Nevada. I had a great experience last year. I think the kids really enjoyed the buy-in, and the progress they've made in the past year has been extremely rewarding for me to see as a coach, but really a really good testament to their dedication and their work ethic over the past year. So thank you, Dustin.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Yep.
One thing that I really like about Mike is, and I don't think I've told him this before, so this might be news to him. Mike's, when you think strength training, you sometimes think football athletes. Mike's actually a cross-country distance running athlete by nature, so I think he really relates well to all weightlifters. And I think that's what's helped set our program up for success. So I look forward to continuing to work with Premier Athlete Training and Mike over the year here. So thank you, Mike. I'm going to give
Yes, thank you.
Yep, you bet. I'm going to give a couple of quick shout outs here. I got my Twitter up. Shout out to our new middle school assistant principal and activities director, Vanessa Huber, for giving us a follow. Amy Vin 2002, appreciate the follow. And thank you, Angie Quaker, for the follow. I will take any more follows we can get on that Twitter. Let's get that number up here before we get out of here. Here's just a list of our head coaches. So you can see Jason Sampson with Esports listed there. And I have him in yellow because typically I put any new coaches in yellow to draw your attention to them. Esports is a new program. More details will come out throughout the year as we build the program. But you can see here that we don't have any yellow. And I think this is a testament to a lot of our coaches. We're going into a year with a lot of question marks, and basically everyone chose to come back to be part of your kids' experience, your students' experience at Nevada High School. And I think we've got an excellent group of coaches, and I think this says a lot about their character to come back and come into a year that has way more question marks than it has answers. This is a great group. If you need to reach out to any of these coaches, feel free to reach out to them. I've got the example at the top. My email would be dsmith@nevadacubs.org. So you would take their names, the first initial, last name at nevadacubs.org to reach out to that specific coach. All right, now we've moved on to the Nevada Booster Club, and I'm going to put the floor over to Chad to talk about the Athletic Booster Club.
Thank you, Dustin. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chad Bauman. I'm currently the president of the Nevada Booster Club. As you can guess, the Nevada Booster Club is here to support the athletic programs for those students in the Nevada School District, both high school and middle school. We do that through a number of different avenues, whether it's promoting the sports, whether it's giving of our time, helping out, volunteering at events. Most importantly, it's the financial arm of it. We help raise funds to support some of the needs that are accrued through the athletic department. Just to kind of give you an idea, in the past 3 years that I've served on the booster board, our club has provided more than $200,000 worth of support to the athletic programs, whether that's through purchasing new uniforms for all the teams, new equipment, venue improvements, just a variety of different avenues that we've been able to help out. For a couple examples that we've, just to share, the new video board in the high school gym, the scoreboard in the middle school gym. We were able to purchase an indoor golf simulator for the golf team, so they're able to practice indoors now. They don't have to worry about getting rained out in practice. You know, bad spring weather can be in Iowa. A basketball shooting machine, baseball hitting shells, kind of just something for everybody, you know. In addition, you know, this year coming up, we've already committed to over $50,000 worth of support to the department in new uniforms and equipment. So we're really going strong. We have a very dedicated group on our board right now, very strong board. Does a lot of good things for this community. You know, one of the major ways that we are able to raise all these funds is through our membership drive. That's one of the things I kind of wanted to touch on tonight, kind of focus on. We've launched our 2020-2021 membership drive just recently, and we're really here asking for your support in that. Our membership, we have a variety of levels. We go down everywhere from a $50 entry level to, you know, thousands dollar level. Each level has a various benefits to it. But one of the things that you do receive as a Booster Club member is some merchandise discounts. Your students also eligible to apply for our Booster Club scholarship at the end of the year. And then there's a variety of other benefits that go along with being a member. I kind of wanted to really focus on the membership drive this year because, based on our current situation with the COVID pandemic going on, it's really put a strain on our athletic department and the budget. Not being able to host spring sports this past spring, inability to take a gate for our summer baseball and softball programs, not being able to open concession stand. The athletic department right now is estimated to be in a $15,000 to $20,000 budget shortfall. So this year, we're really hoping that our membership drive, our members can come through and help us out. So that's why we really are looking for your support and ask that you consider to become a Booster Club member. There's it's an easy way to join. Up on our website now, which is nevadaboosterclub.org, you can download the membership PDF, go ahead and fill it out and mail it in. Or there's a link that's live right now. You can go ahead and click on the link, go ahead and fill out the form, and you can just take care of everything right there at your computer electronically. It's super simple. The link is also available on our Facebook page as well. Just to kind of maybe pique the interest a little bit, we are going to run a kind of a prize drawing that, for anyone that joins us at our purple membership, which is at the $100 level, you're eligible to receive, you're eligible entry into a drawing for a great Booster Club prize basket, which includes a stadium chair and a lot of other Booster Club merchandise. So I encourage you to please to check that out if you can. With that, I just want to say that, this year it's put a strain on all of us, the athletic department, us personally. For those of you that have been members in the past, thank you very much for your support. I'd ask, consider that, this year to help us with our shortfall, maybe look at possibly bumping up a level this year if you can, if you're financially able, despite if the pandemic hasn't hurt. For those of you that haven't been a member before, we have a number of great lower level options, entry level options, something for you to dip your toe into the pool to just get acclimated and join us on that level. So,
Chad, a question in the chat was, where can people find the different levels for Booster Club membership? Since you're talking about that very thing right now, would you like to address that?
Sure. We have a PDF available on our Booster Club website that outlines each one of those levels. Just go ahead and click on that link. It has the membership form link. It's listed. All the levels are listed on there. There is also a family option, also a business option. If as a family member, you're unable to do it, maybe take it to your place of work and see if they would be interested in sponsoring us as well. So again, it's nevadaboosterclub.org on our website. That's also available on our Facebook page. So yeah, please, thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. I'll be around if you have any other questions. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Chad. I'm going to go ahead and take note here. I'm going to go ahead and get that PDF sent out to parents on an email so that you can have that there too. If you don't make your way over to the Nevada Booster Club website, we really do appreciate your support in this year. We are at a shortfall. Football kind of drives the bus on revenue for both the music parents and the athletic department. Tracks, number 2. Not having a track season was detrimental to what we've been working towards. I'm not saying it's doom and gloom, but we are short some of the funds that we would typically have, and we're looking to support the athletes through the year. So any support you can give would be appreciated. I'm going to give a couple more shout outs here. Kelly Holland, Megan, Heidi, Amy Tingle, and Luke Huber for signing up on Twitter. One thing, some of you might know this about me, that before I worked in Nevada, I was the activities director at Osage in Osage, Iowa. I created their Twitter there and built up the users on their Twitter. And it's always been a thorn in my side that I just always seem to have a few less followers than Osage does. So Osage is at 741 followers, and we're at 736. So I need 6 people to pass Osage. Please push us past that. It's kind of a point of pride for me. And any help you can give there is appreciated as well. I want to talk about conflict resolution for a second. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit later when I talk about hashtag TeamCubs. Keep in mind that we all want the same thing. But there's going to be different avenues to how we get to that goal. We all want coaches, administration, teammates, parents. We all want your students to have a positive experience within our activities programs, but that's not going to look the same for every student. There will be conflict will arise, but the student always has a better experience when the adults work together. When the adults can't work together, that's when student experiences tend to go downward. So some things with conflict resolution: I will always listen to concerns about ethics and the well-being of your child, and I'm going to make sure that they're addressed as well. I'm going to have those conversations with those coaches. I will always listen. If you and your child have already met with the coach and you didn't feel like meeting with the coach got the kind of the answers or what you needed to feel more comfortable with the conflict that was arising. Some things that I won't discuss: I'm not going to discuss other students with you, just like I wouldn't discuss your student with other parents. I'm not going to discuss playing time. That's a coach's decision. And I'm not going to talk about coaching philosophy. That's another thing that's a coach's decision. Those could be conversations that I have with a coach individually after a season, but we hire our coaches to put together playing time and coaching philosophies, and those are things that aren't really up for debate. Keep in mind, conflict's a normal part of life. High school activities provide a great platform to learn that conflict before our students are really kicked out, into the real world. In the event of a conflict, there's a proper channel of communication. First, your athlete should go to the coach with that conflict. If it has to do with ethics and your student's well-being, I understand that might not happen with that conflict. After that, the parent and the coach should meet. It might also be advised that the player and or an assistant coach be present as well, so that there's more sides and more ears there. And if that doesn't take care of the potential issue, we're going to have a parent-coach activities director meeting. I can't emphasize enough how much that middle meeting, the parent-coach meeting, the coach needs to be aware of the concerns before I'm going to be able to address them with the coach. So I want to give that coach the opportunity to address your concerns before we get to that third step there where we'd meet as a group. Mr. Einsweiler, I'm going to step back, look at you on my small screen over here to the right. Any questions that have come up for any of our presenters or myself at this point?
Nothing that hasn't been already answered, so I think you're good to keep rocking and rolling.
Thank you much. Matt Meyers, I added an extra E on your slide here. I apologize.
Yeah, at least you caught that. But first of all, I'd like to send a thanks to all the parents that sent me a message after you just angrily bashed me at the beginning of the video. So a few parents sent me messages.
Tasha is nicer, equally different for the trainers.
I'm just kidding. I just have a few things to talk about. The first thing is that one of us, Tasha or I, are at the school every day after school during the school year from 3:20 to 4:15. So if your student athlete has a concern, has something nagging them, the first step would be to come down and chat with one of us in the athletic training room, which is located just, which direction is that of the gym? It's by the gym. I can't think right now.
That's to the east.
East of the gym is where the athletic training room is located. Another thing I wanted to plug is that if we can't resolve it in the athletic training room, at 21st Century Rehab, we offer free athlete screens for any one of our Nevada athletes in our clinic, which is located within Story County Medical Center here in Nevada. And I also wanted to give a quick plug to them, as they offered a great service to kind of our student athletes and did nearly 200 free sports physicals for the Nevada athletes. So kudos to them for that. I also want to mention that Story County Medical Center also gives walk-in screenings or walk-in appointments Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 for any of our Nevada athletes. But you don't need an appointment, but obviously if you want to give them a heads up that you're coming, go ahead and give them a call. But they do offer appointments from 8 to 9 in the morning each weekday for our Nevada athletes. They kind of reserve that time for our Nevada athletes. So if you have something else going on, an illness or whatever, they can get you seen between 8 and 9. Probably the more important thing I wanted to talk about is our impact concussion testing, which is our neurocognitive concussion assessment tool we do with our Nevada athletes. So with COVID this year, obviously we will not be able to test all of our athletes on site because we don't want that many people probably in the same room on a computer. So a cool thing Impact has done this year is we can test from home. So what I will be doing in the next couple of weeks is, especially for our fall sports, is I will send out an email kind of with the instructions, and then I will get a roster from the coaches and send a direct email with the link to take the test at home to the athlete's school email. So they will get an email that'll also have a video and instructions on how to take the test. We just ask that they have it done before their first kind of contact practice. Is that clear, Dustin? Does that make sense? And if go ahead, sorry, Dustin.
Yeah, we'll get that information out likely right away tomorrow, right, Matt?
Yeah, it'll come out very quickly as soon as I get the updated rosters and stuff, so I can get their emails. It'll come to their school email.
So I don't want to over-pot commit. With practices starting on Monday, we might be waiting for some roster numbers.
Right.
But we'll either get most of them out tomorrow. If not, I'd look for those tests to come out real early next week on Monday or Tuesday.
And Kevin and Carrie Bell, that does include cheerleading, yes. They will be tested as well. And if you have other questions pertaining to just your student athlete, I do have a school email, but it is athletictraining@nevadacubs.org is my personal email. If people have questions. I think that's all I have, Dustin. Thank you for your time.
No, I appreciate you for your time, Matt Meyers. Like I said, we'll get that concussion testing at home sent out here by earliest tomorrow. Latest, you'll look for that on Tuesday or Thursday, athletes. I've got one last. This is going to be my last Twitter check-in, crew. We are 2 followers away from passing the Osage Athletics account. I'm going to give quick shout outs. Oh, look at Sarah Stropman killing it, throwing out some love on Twitter to get people to follow. I love it. Quick shout outs to some new followers here. Angela Rudin, the Mr. Christian Einsweiler, Steve Skaggs, and Kristen. So I'm going to move forward here. 2 more people and we pass the Osage Athletics account. I'm going to talk academic eligibility just quickly. I have a few slides left, but I want to honor your time and I need to get you to your breakouts. You need to pass your classes to remain eligible for athletics. That being said, there is a waiver going into this year. All students are academically eligible right now. The slate has been cleaned because of COVID concerns that people might have failed a class because of a COVID concern or different things. So all students are academically eligible to play right now. So that one doesn't have a lot of information I need to share there. Code of conducts address a student athlete's legal issues or things that they have done maybe outside of the school, sometimes even inside of the school. It really is it addresses how you're representing the school. It typically has to do with legal issues. I'm not going to get into any examples of what a code of conduct looks like. Those usually get spelled out to the student if they put themselves in the situation. But I would tell you, if you aren't sure if it's legal, don't do it. And use common sense when it comes to how you're conducting yourself when you leave the school building and even when you're in the school building. You're a representation of Nevada High School, and we'd like you to represent it well. Some required forms. If your student is not registered for school, they will not be able to participate on August 10th because during the registration, you fill out your emergency contact, your social media contract, and your Heads Up Concussion form. That Heads Up Concussion form is required to practice on August 10th. So if your student is not registered, please get that done tonight, tomorrow, sometime before August 10th so we don't have to chase that student around. Physicals are good for 13 months. Right now, due to COVID concerns, physicals that were completed after July 1st of 2019, after July 1st, those students are clear until December 31st of 2020. Any students whose physicals were needed to be taken, any students who had physicals taken before July 1st would still need to get an updated physical. And there's going to be a lot of students who will likely need a physical updated by January 1st if you're looking at being part of winter sports programs. I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Niblock to talk about NHS drama.
Hi, my name is Karen Niblock, and this is my 15th year directing the plays and musicals. I teach 7th grade social studies. So basically, I just wanted to really quickly go over what we do. We are planning a fall play. It is November 7th, 8th, and 9th. We will do one play with 3 different smaller casts and 3 performances. Next week, you'll be getting a survey, the students will, that'll ask you if you want to be part of the cast and the crew. Please fill that out because it'll help us pick the show that'll work the best for this fall. Auditions will be in September, the 8th and the 10th, and there'll be a parent meeting that follows that. If you want to be part of our communication, we have a Remind communication system, just like the athletics. So you can email me or any of my team. So that would be Shauna Dunbaugh, Alan Erickson, Kate Sutton, Kristen Weber, Lisa Ott, or Christy Keneally. Last year we won 9 awards for our spring musical, Bye Bye Birdie, but we aren't sure what our new musical is going to be or how that's going to look. So we'll be figuring that out as we go. So I think that's about all I had.
I want to tell you that through this process over the last 5 months or so here, when COVID-19 has really taken over as a driving force about everything that's going on, I'm really impressed with Mrs. Niblock's plans for a fall play and student safety. We will have guidance out for each sport, activity, anything that has to deal with Nevada activities. We're going to have that guidance out to you before our first contest and out on August 18th. So we're gonna get that out, and I'm really impressed with Mrs. Niblock's ability to put the students first and really work to do her best to make a great experience for kids. I think it's going to be awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Niblock. Matt Meyers had one more thing he wanted to add.
Thanks to Michelle Spohr for reminding me, but a lot of our student athletes have already been tested. They've already taken the baseline test, and the baseline is good for 2 years. So this year, I will only need to test freshmen, juniors, and those who have not been tested previously or within the last 2 years. So there's a little bit of roster checking with me in the system, but only those athletes that need to test will get that email. Not every student athlete will get the email. Just clearing that up. So thank you, Michelle, for pointing that out to me. I appreciate that.
All right, I said I wouldn't talk about Twitter much more. I'm going to tell you, Renee Duell put us over the Osage Athletics. We have passed them. Could still use some more, but shout out there for being the one that put us over the top. One other thing I want to add, Matt Meyers just referenced Michelle Spohr. If you don't know Michelle Spohr, she's now our activities administrative assistant in the high school office, and she is awesome, and none of any of the things we're doing would happen without her. So thank you, Michelle, for everything you do for Nevada Activities. You're great. All right, I'm just going to cover just a few COVID-19 mitigation concerns. Your individual coaches have mitigation plans for practice. We're putting together mitigation practices for contests and other activities. Like I said, the majority of that will be released on August 18th. It's very long, it's very thorough, and it's very thoughtful on keeping students as safe as we can in a COVID-19 world. Some things that I need to address now, some things will be addressed later. If you have questions with this, they're probably best answered through an email to me. We can try to do them through chat, but there's so many answers that there's no way that I'd be able to cover everything right now tonight. And we're working on finalizing those plans as we move forward. What we do know, students must be enrolled in 4+ classes online or in person to participate. We will do daily health screenings as required by the Girls and Boys Union on how the students are feeling as they enter weight room and practices. One important thing to note, parents, if you don't have a large water receptacle for your student individual use, now might be the time to get a large water receptacle for your student for individual use and clearly mark that receptacle so that they know that it's their personal belonging. When going into the training room, masks will be required. This is a Boys and Girls Union requirement. We'll have signs posted. We will have disposable masks that can be allowed, but if you're an athlete, you'll be expected to at least have a mask on your person if you'd like to go in the training room. So at least carry one so that you can go in the training room. An example would be if you know you're going to get your ankle taped every day for volleyball, you should remember to wear a mask every day instead of using a disposable one. All levels are approved for participation. Varsity, JV, JV2, and middle school. The state could rule differently on that, but right now that's what the Iowa High School Athletic Association and the Girls Union have stated. Coaches will give updates on sports-specific practices and concerns. That will be in your breakout directly following this meeting. And like I said, a complete mitigation plan for events will be released on August 18th. I'm going to go ahead and try to field some questions if Mr. Einsweiler has any. If there's some that would kind of wash out later, Mr. Einsweiler, I think that's best. But if there's any that I could answer now, I'll try to field them.
There's only one question about masks during weightlifting at the current time, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, masks are not required at weightlifting at the current time. Currently, we have the athletes in pods of 4. We have socially distanced all of the racks out. If a student were to become exposed or become a positive case, we would have our attendance and we would use our contact tracing strategies that we outlined during the academics portion. to reach out to all parents with that. So does that answer the potential question there, Mr. Einsweiler?
I believe so, Mr. Smith.
Any others?
Not at this moment.
All right, Jason Sampson, I'm gonna let you talk about our new esports program a little bit. Welcome, Jason Sampson, the Nevada esports coach.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jason Sampson, esports coach. I'm also the director of transportation for Nevada Community School Districts for the last 5 years, or actually going into my 5th year now. Esports, for most of us, this is a brand new thing. Most people haven't heard of it. So I'll give you the quick, brief rundown of what esports is. Esports is a competitive matchups of video games. The video games we'll be playing will be Smash Brothers Ultimate, Overwatch, Rocket League, and League of Legends. Everything but Smash Brothers is a team concept, and even Smash Brothers is a team concept, but it's more like a wrestling type team concept where you have individual points leading to a team win or a loss. But Overwatch, League of Legends, Rocket League, it's all team-based competitions where communication and working together is key in winning. I'm super excited to get this off the ground. Had our first meeting tonight, right about 4 o'clock today, and had a lot of good participation, a lot of good questions. The kids seem really excited about being able to participate in this, and I'll field any questions if there are any. You're muted, Mr.
Mr.
Smith.
Einsweiler, any questions for esports or any other questions to address right now?
I do not believe so.
All right. Like I said, I want to honor time here. You have one more meeting likely where you get to talk to your individual sports coach, and that's probably your most important meeting of the night. One thing I do want to introduce to the athletic parents tonight is a concept that I call hashtag TeamCubs. I've been thinking about this for a while. I truly love all Nevada activities. I know that a lot of my time and energy gets focused on athletics. But something you might not know about me is that I was the lead in the play in high school, and I was in a musical in college. That being said, I consider myself to be pretty well-rounded, and I started thinking, you know what? Sometimes it feels like we're working as different entities sometimes, and I truly believe that in Nevada we're part of Team Cubs. I think a lot of the community really supports all causes, but I want to take that to the next step and start using the hashtag Team Cubs plus Nevada Cub Pride for success. What Team Cubs means, the boys basketball team and the wrestling team, they're both Team Cubs. They both want to see their programs do well. Do they have athletes that are not part of each other's teams? Yes. But I've seen a lot of basketball players when they can be at wrestling meets and vice versa. They're both on Team Cubs. Team Cubs means supporting people within your season. A 9th grade football dad and a senior track mom, they're both part of Team Cubs. They should both be supportive of football and track alike. The girls tennis coach and the girls track coach, they're both competing sometimes for the same athletes, but all I've heard from Coach Johnson and Coach Jill Gray is support for those programs. That's what Team Cubs is about. Being part of Team Cubs means we all want positive success for NHS students. Being part of Team Cubs means you cheer as loud for your own student as you do for the rest of the team. That was something I saw that was pretty profound for me this summer. Are you cheering as loud for the team as you do for your own student? If you are, you're part of Team Cubs. Being part of Team Cubs means you are supportive of administration, coaches, players, officials, and other parents. It doesn't mean we're always going to agree, but at the end of the day, we support each other because we want what's best for NHS students. We're part of TeamCubs. Some things that we're doing to support TeamCubs. One thing, all head coaches right now of athletic programs are going through a program called 3D coaching. We had our first meeting on Monday, and we're going to continue to work as a group to learn from each other and become stronger coaches and to support each other. During 3D coaching, we're going to talk about not only fundamentals, but the psychology of sport and the heart, reaching out to a player's heart and getting that player to achieve higher levels because you have that relationship with them. Coaches, parents, and players get out of athletics what they put into athletics. What you're willing to put in as a coach, what you're willing to put in as a parent, and what you're willing to put in as a player will dictate what you get out of athletics. Are you giving it all if you have to make, are you giving it all that you can to make it a positive experience for our students? That's a question you can ask yourself anytime you drop your player off for practice, anytime students you walk into the gym, anytime that you're putting together a practice plan, coaches, are you giving it all to have or to make that experience a positive experience? So those are just some things to think about as we continue to make the Nevada community, the Nevada Cub pride and TeamCubs. Any other questions, Mr. Einsweiler?
There's one question that I think Jason was looking to answer. It's about the gaming platform that's needed for esports.
Jason, take the floor.
Yeah, as far as the games we're playing, we have 2 games that are cross platforms, and that'll be Overwatch and Rocket League. Overwatch is played on PC, Xbox, PS4, and Rocket League is also cross platform. Smash Brothers is only on the Switch, and then we have League of Legends, which is only played on PC. 3 out of the 4 games will be, no, I'm sorry, 2 out of the 4 games are free, and that'll be League of Legends, and Rocket League is coming out free here shortly. But Overwatch is about a $20 purchase for the game. And obviously, if you got to get a Nintendo Switch, good luck. I scoured for a good 3 weeks to find one. But also, the game itself would cost. We'll have practices weekly, anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 practices per week. And so even if they're not sure about the game, I've been asking players, come on in, we'll give you a try, and you never know, you could be really good at it without even realizing how good you are at it.
Yep, and we'll have some mitigation strategies put together for our esports athletes as well. Esports is going to be a year-round program. There's games going on all year. We're going to keep Mr. Sampson pretty busy, and I know he even wants to open that up and start getting middle school students involved so that there's a feeder program into our esports program. So really excited about that as it grows. Mr. Einsweiler, any final thoughts here, questions?
I don't think so. I think we're in good shape to start to head to those meetings. Anybody who is looking to go to those, some of those student athlete meetings, you can refer back to the initial email that was sent out to you earlier today. Those links are all live, and coaches, I believe, appear to be kind of in there ready to go. So,
okay, just a couple final thoughts here as I send you out to the coaches meetings. Your students are student athletes and a family member first. Don't forget, if grandma's got a birthday or your cousin's got a party, you're a family member first. You're a student before you're an athlete, and to put the time in with your family. Coaches should not ever fault you on putting, the family first. If there's a good reason to do some things when there's optional practices. Sportsmanship, you're on display to your student athletes, your school, and your community. Please represent Nevada the way that you'd want to represent your family. Sign up for communication. Thanks for everyone who put us over Osage tonight. It's a big deal. Let's stay above them. Do you want to be a bigger part? Ask. The boosters, both the music and the athletic, need volunteers all the time and are willing to get you involved. And then finally, Team Cubs. We're all on the same page. I hope to see you out supporting our students and our athletes at the different events that we are able to host this fall. Thanks everyone for coming. Check Mr. Einsweiler's email for specific links, or your coach should have already communicated it to you. I'm going to sign off here. Appreciate you coming. Have a good night.